For me, Dan, going to games as a kid or as an adult, it was always about the show. Mm-hmm. The show is on the stage. I don't bother the stage. I clap. If I see something awesome, I go. If there's an outburst of emotion, like, oh, look at that, or something, I don't boo. And I'm not looking down upon you if you boo. If you boo, do your thing. That's just, I don't want to stand up and boo a guy. I'm not built like that. I come here to see the game. If the game sucks, all right, I'll say the game sucks and I'll go home. But I don't know if it's just social media or if we're seeing it more because of social media, but there is a propensity for people to interact with the stage, whether it be dudes running on the field, shout out to the White Sox, we've had 2 incidents as far as our fan base is concerned, or people, talking to players as they're coming off. LeBron has had that the last 3 or 4 years. A guy actually in Cleveland, in his hometown, was coming at LeBron at the end of Game 3, and LeBron asked him, what has he ever done? And this guy told him that he played for Hiram College.
I played basketball at Hiram College.
I guess that was his sick burn. But for the people, and we've got people who are already jumping in at 6, 7, 11 on why they do it, how they do it. Yeah, there's positive interactions with fans, but more increasingly, people insert themselves into the game in a way that just, I don't know, seems loutish to me. So I want you to explain this to me after you listen to this conversation while Joey Votto was on deck. I believe it's against the Dodgers. He's up against the net, swinging the bat, and a guy's friend is videoing it. He's recording it on his phone while he's talking to Joey Votto, and it went like this.
I remember when you used to be good. I remember when you used to be thin. I know. That's about the same time you were good. Yeah. That's not true. Now you guys are just talking. You're not stating facts. I'm using facts. The fact was you were standing on third base when the ball was getting in his hand. You're just standing there like a deer in the headlights saying, damn it, what am I doing standing on third? I'm supposed to be on second. You know what the difference is? You know what the difference is? Right now this guy is filming this. I got something to lose. You guys don't even have a life, so you got nothing to lose at all. Exactly. It looks terrible if I start talking to you guys. That would be a shame, wouldn't it?
All right, so if you didn't hear it, there's a couple of back and forth, a couple of one-liners.
I remember when you used to be good, and Votto said, I remember when you used to be thin.
Which is hilarious.
Right?
I mean, there's 2 guys going back and forth, and then he mentions that, you're standing on second base when you're supposed to be at third. You look like a deer in headlights. And Joey Votto pointed out the fact that, you're taping this right now, so the difference is I've got something to lose. You guys will go home and be losers after this. Shout out to LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
After he talked about
that. He wakes up, he's still LeBron James.
Which was true at the time.
Yep.
It just didn't make people who don't like LeBron or any athlete feel good about their lives. So, why do you do it?
I don't know. There's some lighthearted. I mean, like when we were in college,
mm-hmm.
the few times I sat with the Cameron crazies, you wanted to do something. You wanted the validation of a player to laugh or just to say, hey, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was about being clever.
Mm-hmm.
Was some people just wanted to be gross or whatever. But see, occasionally, like I told you, when Brian Williams' Bison Daylight came out, we knew that his father was a member of the Platters, and we start singing The Great Pretender, and he turns around in between free throws and points. He goes, that's pretty good. So he liked that. There was one of the great, there was anytime the stands would be full for warm-ups. Like the student section, the doors open, student section fills up. There were no tickets or anything. You showed your ID and ran in, right? So you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's forever until the game starts. So sometimes a guy would
coming up with things.
A guy would come out and take early, early. Yeah. I told you the Dennis Scott story when Dennis Scott came out and just started. He hit like 9 consecutive threes, and then the Duke fans got behind him, and they're like, half court shot, and he goes to half court and a pure jumper and buries it, and the crowd goes wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dennis Scott kind of waves and goes back to locker room, and then this guy came out. This walk-on named David Boisvert, Boisvert.
Talking about ruining some kid's poor life.
And he just starts dribbling, and the crowd just starts going, "Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you?" And he looks at like, "What?
What?
I just want to warm up." Like he didn't know. He was completely overwhelmed.
Did you have a Tom Gugliotta one?
Not a specific. Well, they made fun of it. He had a skin problem when he was a kid, and they made fun of that. And what's wrong with your face? So, and then he got really good and just started throwing down on him. But there's some examples here. Tony in Sauganash said, "If my seats are close, I'll heckle nicely and cleverly. Dodgers were in town, and it was 4 rows behind the press door, and we're heckling Roberto Kelly about his ugly shoes to the point where he stepped out of the box to laugh. Same game, Billy Ashley. Oh, Billy Ashley. He hit 2 home runs his third time up. We're saying, no chance, Billy, and he crushed one and pointed to us the whole trot from third to home. Yes,
so you got the attention that you wanted.
You got the interaction
that you wanted. And I appreciate these stories because, like I said, I'm not wired like that to want to jump in and interact with a player. The one time that I did it, I was 11 years old at Wrigley Field, and it was bucket hat day. And Tom Brenneman signed my bucket hat.
Bucket hat?
Yeah, like the bucket hat. You know, like a fisherman's hat. You know,
okay.
Bucket hat.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay.
And Tom Brenneman signed my hat. I'm up against. You know, I'm pretty much reaching on the dugout.
Did you punch him in the face?
No, I did not punch him in the face. No, and Sean Dunston starts to walk around. Sean Dunston and I share the same birthday, and I knew that. And I go, Sean, we got the same birthday. I'm a child, whatever, and he's ignoring me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
he hears you.
I'm a child.
Enough already.
I'm a child, and I go, Shawan.
Ooh.
He turned around, Dan.
No, that's a button pusher for him.
I did not. I'm 11.
Yeah, that's like Walter Payton and Wally.
Well, that guy deserved it. But I'm 11. He turns around. He goes, my name ain't no damn Shawan. And I was like, all right, grown man.
I'm sorry.
Right. I'll just go back and wait for puberty to hit because and dude, that was the last time. And I know people are going to
Have you ever told him that?
No, I never had a chance to talk to him after that. I know
you should tell him.
He's in town this week, right? He was with the Giants, right? Isn't he a bench coach or something for the Giants, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I think
minor league level, maybe.
Okay. All right. Well,
I think Barry's got his number.
Just hit him up.
Yeah.
But and no, it's not that interaction that stopped me from doing it ever again. When I see people do it, I go, all right, that's kind of something. Or if it, like you said, if it's funny, if it's clever. But are we more in the age of more than ever, or is it just social media shines a light on it more than we're used to? Because I think now people like that is part of their entertainment value is going and messing with people. I sat behind the bench during a Nuggets Bulls game where I wasn't working. Like I was behind the Nuggets bench, and Denver fans were killing Chris Anderson. Like the tattoo stuff, like making heroin jokes, like all these things. And I'm like, yo, like these dudes have to sit here every night and just eat it. And I know they get paid a lot of money.
You remember the
old
old Washington Bullets guy, Robin Ficker, who was known as the super heckler. He was
Jordan.
He was a lawyer, everybody, and that was his thing.
Famously with Jordan, though.
And he would sit behind there, and I talked to a bunch of guys about him, and they say, yeah, it's just it wears on you after a while because it just doesn't stop. Because every once in a while, it's funny. And I remember he said Les Jepson. He was sitting next to Jim Les. And the guy's like, look, it's less. It's more less and less. And if you were you'd be less. And it's like, all right. He said he turned around. That's what he said. He turned around. He's like, okay,
that's
all right,
enough.
Look, it might have been funny, presented a little differently, but it's just not funny. You're not being clever. Be more clever.
And that's the thing. The people that are sitting around these people who don't know how unfunny they are or how not clever they are, those are the people whose experience is being tampered with. Like I don't. There are guys who just want to scream "You suck" all game long, and it's like, what? Yeah, come on, man.
Be more funny.
Yeah,
right.
Like don't like. Why would you ruin everyone in the section's experience? And then you got the one guy who has to. I almost got into it. I told this story. I almost got into it. It was a game 6. Was it game 6? Game 5 or game 6 in Cleveland? I almost got into it with a fan because he came up to the section that we were sitting in, and we were next to the Cubs section where all the Cubs employees and everybody was out there in Cleveland, and the entire section was blue, right? Covered in Cubby blue. And Jay Zawoski and I were sitting next to a family of 4.
And the family was heckling Jay Zawoski.
Right. Like, we hate the Hawks and we hate you. No, two young girls, a father and a mother. And a guy comes up into our section from the section below and shows us his phone. And he goes, my wife just called me, and she says on the television screen that you can hear "Go Cubs Go" from these idiots over here. Now, I'm not wearing a Cubs hat. Jay is. and everybody else in the row is wearing Cleveland Indians gear. And I'm at the end of the aisle, and he's screaming right pretty much into my face. So he's like, we need to do something about this. Get loud or take your ass home. And, brother, when I tell you, he looked at me as if he's like, he kind of gave me the take care of the guy next to you look, as if I'm just I'm just the guy with one ticket to the World Series game sitting next to a Cubs fan. And I say to him, I'm like, my man, go downstairs. Everybody's fine up here. Go back down to your section. And he realized that I was, not a Cleveland Indians guy.
Right.
And he goes,
I was not doing your work for you. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he starts to curse. And the father of the two girls start to look at me like, what are you going to do?
Right.
This happens. I'm like, no. I'm like, you got two little girls here. It's already late. They're covered in blankets. They probably want to be home. And you're cursing it. I'm like, my man, you got to take your ass downstairs right now. And Jay kind of looked at me like, what are you doing, Jay?
You're going to get a shot.
No. But I'm just saying, like, these people who feel the need to interact with the stage or to screen things, just enjoy the game. Why can't people just enjoy the game? You paid a lot of money for that ticket. Why are you being an ass? I don't get it. I don't get it.
One of the worst things at a comedy show when someone tries to do that.
Oh, try to talk to the comedian?
Yeah, because that's like, hey, I paid specifically for this.
To see the guy,
right.
Yeah, see the girl. I went to a comedy show last Wednesday, and the guy started getting on my pants, and I'm like, that's hilarious. I'm not going to interact with you, though, because this is what you do.
Well, yeah, the people that just shout things out, like bits they want to hear, or just like, hey, riff on this, you know what I mean? Like,
it's the equivalent of the texters. I don't like what you're talking about. Talk about something else.
Except the texters don't disrupt people listening, you know?
Right. And they call you. Well, for some hosts, they do. Some hosts they do. Some hosts
derail a show.
Some hosts just turn into the transformer of no segment bots, where they just and they're done for 2.5, maybe 3 segments. You got to restart the engines. Some hosts that happens to, but no, the mind of the heckler or the person who wants to get involved with the stage. I need to understand this.
West Side Jim, you're on the score.
Jim. You killed the call.
You held for 20 minutes, man.
Jim.
I think Jim bailed on us.
All right. We thank Jim for calling and listening to 670 The Score. And also, maybe Jim was checking us out on the live video stream at watch670thescore.com. Brought to you by American Needle. They make the finest quality baseball caps out there. I am wearing one of them right now.
The 312 says, Riverfront Stadium, my friend Charlie leaned into the bullpen and said to Gaylord Perry, hey, Gaylord, aren't you a little fat and ugly to still be pitching in this league?
Why would you do that?
And Perry flipped him the bird.
Yeah, come on. What are you doing?
I mean, the answer is yes. He was considerably fat and ugly to be pitching in the league.
But he still was, though. Like, I don't get it. Like, I really, the interaction between fans and athletes, some fans feel like the territory is also theirs. It's not just their home team's territory, but you come into my city, my stadium, right. And they take that on.
What I like is when the players initiate it. I like it when the players create the interaction.
Come out to the bleachers.
When they choose to do it. Or when you get in between innings, you get an outfielder who's just like, as he's running off, when he runs out early as they're warming up, he's saying stuff to people, or he'll throw an autographed ball, or I've seen, you see NBA guys do it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Talking to people courtside. Jonathan Taves, I said what he did when my kid and his friends had their faces pressed up against the glass. And
you flip him a puck?
No. He skated by them, and they're right there. And he skated by, and after he zoomed by, he took his stick behind him and just smacked the glass right where their faces were, just to watch them all go, and like fall backwards.
Smile on the way back.
Then he looped back around and like pointed at him. Like, I got
that's cool stuff.
Yeah, things like that. That's fun, and it's not somebody having to say you suck or having what's wrong with you. Or you're.
Now that I think about it, are you surprised that we haven't had, especially with people who love to run on the field, are you surprised that we haven't had more running on the court NBA incidents? Because of how the proximity.
Well, we've had an owner.
True. And we've had the Malice at the Palace, but that was different. But for the amount of people who like to run on baseball and football fields, I'm surprised it doesn't happen much more in the NBA world.
Hail now to the real Chief Loudmouth.
Bad coaching! Pat Riley, I'm talking to you, boy! Bad coaching!
For years now, Robin Thicke has made himself known to just about everyone at Washington Bullets home games, whether they like it or not.
How many fouls do you think you get, you chicken?
Thicke has season tickets right behind the visiting team's bench. The 48-year-old basketball fanatic is not exactly the welcome wagon.
Be more funny.
That's just lame.
Yep.
Was it cool for the time?
Just like to hear himself.
Like, were people laughing in the 90s when he was doing that, or?
I don't know. People knew who he was, I guess.
Yeah.
Jim is calling from the United Center. He's on the score. Hi, Jim.
Hi, guys. This goes back to 1998, 1999, and I was fortunate, I guess you could say fortunate, to have access at the time to some White Sox tickets in the front row, right in front of the visitors on deck circle. And the White Sox were bad. I was there all the time. You might remember an outfielder for Cincinnati named Chris Steins.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in the on-deck circle. It's between innings. He's going to lead off the next inning. He's stretching. Next thing you know, he's bending over, and his backside is, I'm looking right at it.
Oh.
And I can see there's this big rip down the back of his pants that's been patched and sewn up.
Nah.
So I said, what's the matter? Was Marge too cheap to get you a new pair of pants? He didn't turn around, didn't say anything, but he nodded his head up and down.
So they actually were too cheap to get him new pants? Wow. Okay.
Guess you had to be there.
Yeah, all right. All right.
He is such an ass, dude.
Hey, it's Tanny.
He's so bad.
So-
Like, he's such a jerk.